Hey now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now. Welcome to hour number three of the line, Talk 99.5, talk995.com. Alabama Men's Clinic bringing you this part of the show, alabamamensclinic.com. For those of you men out there that might be suffering from a thing we call low T, low testosterone. There's a solution for that. I don't want you to find yourself in a situation where you're protesting Trump because that can be a result of low T. Also, problems in the bedroom, just feeling tired all the time, waking up and just not feeling it. We've all had those days, but if you have those days every day, that's a sign of a larger issue. Like you're just never you're always groggy. You just, maybe you're running on energy drinks and donuts and, all kinds of stuff just to get you through the day. Not saying that it is low T, but it could be. And it's not going to hurt you to go get tested and see where you're at. That's what Alabama Men's Clinic concentrates on, getting you back to the levels you need to be at. Also, other things that go back to your performance in the bedroom, they can help make it to where you feel like you're at the top of your game again. Your wife's gonna be like, "Oh my God, what has Alabama Men's Clinic done with my husband?" Uh, and they mean that in a good way, obviously. You're gonna be very impressive. Trust me on that. So if you got questions or anything and want to try this out, I highly encourage you do so. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. It's just part of life, man. When what they've, I go back to what they've done to our food supply and everything else has contributed to this stuff. But as you get older, that just kind of naturally happens as well. And you don't have to be older to be experiencing these problems. More and more young people are dealing with it as well. So reach out to them at this number, 205 598 7000. Make sure you tell them Andrew Mclain sent you. That's 205 598 7000. Online, Alabama Men's Clinic.com. Alabama Men's Clinic.com. Um, Trump saying this was our last and best chance to strike Iran, that everything just worked out perfectly. Also, some breaking news. Bahrain apparently having 70 plus missiles shot at them from Iran, successfully taking those down. Here's what you got to understand about Iran. This is just not an Iran, you know, IRGC military operation that's attacking other countries or attacking U.S. bases. These are also terror cells that that Iran funds and supports. Like all of this goes back to Iran. This is not just a matter of the Ayatollah and the Islamic fundamentalist policy of destroy the rest of the world. They had this, the Ayatollah and that regime had this idea that their purpose was to initiate the end times. Right? They were on a suicide mission from the beginning. And Trump understands that. A lot of people understand that. And that's why we couldn't just sit around and wait for them to stop, producing nuclear weapons or stop enriching uranium. They were on a suicide mission to destroy the West, to destroy Israel, to destroy other countries. It was just a fact. And we gave them every single opportunity available to bring an end to it, including offering them nuclear energy. This idea of, and really one of the best ways to create electricity, to create energy, is through nuclear power plants. So, enriching uranium or using uranium to generate electricity is fairly a safe way and an environmentally friendly way to power a country or power a society. We offer that to them. We're like, we're not going to let you sit here and enrich uranium because we know you're not using it to power the country of Iran. You're using it to make weapons. You're using it to make nuclear warheads. We're not going to let you do that. But we will, however, help you in other ways. We'll make you a prosperous country. We gave them a lot of leeway, and they continued to refuse because of that ideology, that religious ideology, that it was their job to destroy everybody, to destroy everybody and have the Muslim, Islam take over the world. Okay, that was it. And so something had to be done. But this is bigger than just Iran. This is also, as I stated, the terror proxies, the groups that have been born and funded and handled by the Iranian regime for years and years and years. That's killed thousands of Americans over and over again, all over the world. That came from them. And so instead of it being a war to stop Iran from doing X, Y, and Z, or to even just set them back, this is setting back terror as a whole. The fact that the all of these different terror groups, Hezbollah, Hamas, everything, all these groups have taken a hit in this and have been set back tremendously because of the actions of the Trump administration. And that should be exciting for everybody, unless you're just into terrorism, unless you just support terrorism. Take it for what it's worth. There's a lot of reports as well, because as you know, Khomeini was taken out. You had 40 plus top Iranian officials that were taken out. I mean, their government has been decimated, and now they're scrambling to try to figure out who goes where or who's taken over what. There were reports that the former Iranian president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, remember him? He was president of Iran back from 2005 to 2013. And he was a guy that kind of rose from obscurity as the mayor of Tehran and ended up defeating the establishment figure in that race in 2005 and became president. And he was, he was an ideologue whose economic management fueled inflation all over the world and continued with this rhetoric that deepened Iran's international isolation, if you will. He just kind of fueled this whole thing to where we were. Iranian state TV was reporting that he was killed in the strike, but I'm seeing conflicting reports that he's not dead, and that even Patrick Bet David, the PBD podcast, that they're in touch with his people. They say he's alive and he might actually do the podcast, the PBD podcast, which would be a fascinating interview. But we'll see how all of that plays out. So who is taking Khomeini's place? We don't know, other than they've kind of put together a 3-person deal to split his duties for the time being. And the main one that everybody's concentrating on is a guy by the name of Ayatollah Arafi. He's been kind of appointed as the top guy, the supreme leader, if you will. And not that I know a whole lot about this guy, but he is a guy that has, in fact, he's an Islamic fundamentalist, but he has been known in his sermons to lead chants of death to America, which you should not be surprised by that. But he's also more of a modern guy that seems to want to lean into things like AI and aspects of that nature, but lean into AI to spread the message of Islam all over the world. So we'll see how that plays out, because again, we just all of this is happening at really breakneck speed, and we're watching all of it unfold in real time. And as we get that information, we will bring that to you. Let me go to the phone lines. Actually, let me take a break, and then I'll hit the phone lines if y'all can wait for me. I see Richard and Bubba Rumble on the line, and the rest of y'all hang tight. 205-545-9950. Your phone calls next. All right, 205-545-9950. Richard the Cop up first. Richard, how are you, buddy?
Is it not good to be a red-blooded, patriotic American today?
Hey, man.
Woo!
I woke up the other morning, and when I got off the radio talking to y'all the other day, I went to Whataburger and said I need a half a pound of bacon to celebrate the death of the supreme leader.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
The one they need to do, Andrew, they need to go back to the way they used to do it in the Old West. You know, the mortician would take the person that was killed in the shootout, and they would put them in the coffin and stand them up in the window and take pictures of them.
There you go.
And they need to bury all 40 of those guys' bodies wrapped in bacon inside their body bag.
Oh, like little Muslim jalapeno poppers. Yeah.
When they get to their 72 Virginians, the Virginians don't want nothing to do with them because they smell like infidels.
Yeah. What if they get up there and it's like some bunch of grimy dudes from Virginia?
What?
They're like,
Oh, you smell like what? You pig. You've been eating the pig. Anyway, but it's been a good week. The man in the White House continues to march forward. He's wrapped in the flag. He's wrapping everybody else in the flag. And, you know, that'd be something else. We need to bury them wrapped in an American flag. So they go to wherever they're going with their heads between their legs and ashamed. Y'all have a good day. Roll Tide. God bless America.
There you go. Listen,
love it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think Khomeini said when he got where he was going when he died?
Oh, I know. Oh shit.
Oh, yeesh. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be a shock when you think you know, you're this creepy old man and you think you're going to get 72 virgins, probably, you know, underage girls. And you get something that is not what you expect.
Get what you deserve.
You get what you deserve, man. You get what you deserve. Bubba Rumble's up next. Bubba, what's up, buddy?
Bomb, 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 Iran.
Bomb, 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 Iran.
Yeah, baby, woo! You know that parody. You know, parodies used to be on Top 40 radio. They got a lot of airplay. That parody got a lot of airplay about 50 years ago now. And I've been waiting for this moment ever since then. You know, Trump's just finishing what a lot of other people started. So it's about freaking time we got a real president again.
Yeah, baby. It's nice, isn't it? Isn't it? Just to see the sheer leadership on display in this manner. It's just, it's so refreshing.
It is, you know, and I'm down with Richard the Cop's bacon diplomacy, and I think we should put bacon in every warhead that we shoot at those people too, just to spread bacon all over their holy land.
Bacon everywhere.
Yeah, Durka.
You know who's big mad right now, and I couldn't be happier about it?
Who's that?
Barry frickin' Soetoro. All that money and coddling he did with Iran, and of course, you know, Brandon backed it up with between the two of them, they gave those idiots $20 billion to build weapons to attack us and the rest of the free world. So suck on that, Barry Soetoro.
You think about that, you know, memory. I guess it was this where it was several days of Iran firing missiles at Israel, and they were having to use the Iron Dome to fight back, and it was a ton of missiles. It was overwhelming for the Iron Dome. And it just shows you the sheer volume in which they had, and they were only able to build that up because of people like Barack Obama and Joe Biden. So what we are doing in Operation Epic Fury is literally reversing more Democrat policies, destroying weapons that Obama and Biden paid for, that we paid for, but Obama and Biden sent them the money.
I want my 20 billion back.
Yeah.
You know, another good facet of this is the Chinese defense systems failed spectacularly. So that's what they get for investing in Chinese military tech also.
That's what you get for buying your defense systems from Temu.
Temu missiles. Well, you know, that's it for sure. It doesn't, you know, it's a good sign for us because I would imagine China had some of their best equipment over there, you know, trying to stack up against what we have, and we just keep outpacing them, and they keep stealing our secrets, but they're years behind the ball when they get them. So good to know. And I'm not so sure that Kuwaiti down in our jets was a complete accident yet. My redneck conspiracy theory side makes me wonder what really happened with those F-15s.
Yeah, hopefully we get to the bottom of that because that
We
is
will.
kind of even if it is a genuine mess up, like it's kind of a big mess up. Like we're not going to allow that to happen. That's not going to happen for a second time.
No, and I'm glad the pilots are okay. And my heart goes out to the military members from America who have passed away in this conflict. But war ain't pretty. And I have to
Absolutely.
tip of the hat to everybody who's ever been enlisted, anybody who's going to, and to anybody who's in the military right now and their family members. I'm praying for y'all. And I'll let you I'll let you go because this is a big news day. So hey to the night.
I know. Yeah, it's a great point, man. It's a good time to to honor and keep in mind these military members, active military members and veterans and people that have lost their life, and then these four that have lost their life. Um, just kind of it's a time to reflect and show that appreciation. Right now, we've got the Israeli ambassador speaking after everything that's going on after the supreme leader's killed and the attacks currently go on. This is at the United Nations in New York City. Again, the Israeli ambassador. Let's go live to that.
Is lashing out in desperation. Over the past few days, missiles have been fired at Israel, most of them, but also the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, Kuwait, Iraq, Syria, Jordan, and even on European soil in Cyprus. This is not strategy. It is panic. It is desperate. While we strike military facilities and the machinery of terror with precision, the Iranian regime strikes civilians, families, airports, hotels, shopping centers, people's home. In Beit Shemesh, a city near Jerusalem, 4 apartment buildings were destroyed. 9 innocent people were murdered, including these 3 young siblings, Sarah, Abigail, and Yaakov Beaton. Same family, together. Brothers and sisters killed in their own home. Overnight, another missile struck Beersheba, injuring more innocent people. This contrast tells everything. We target military infrastructure, they target families. They terrorize their own people, they terrorize us, and now they are attempting to terrorize the region and the world. We honor those we have lost. Despite the sacrifice, we are determined. We will not stop until we achieve our objectives. Threatening the entire region. Desperation, a regime brought to its knees. Now, that same regime, that is not a risk we tolerate. We will not allow. That is necessary. We do not just stop, we are stopping it. Meanwhile, look at what is happening inside this building at the UN. As Iranian missiles were hitting Israeli cities, the UN Secretary General's Special Representative for Children and Armed Conflict, Vanessa Frazier, she tweeted last night condemning what she described as attacks on Iranian schools, leaving a large number of casualties, mostly children. That's from her tweet from last night. Horrible picture indeed. She posted this graphic image where you can see families in Iran standing among rows of black body bags. I agree, it's a horrible picture. But this photograph is not from the past few days. It was actually taken at the end of January. The dead in these bags that you see were civilians killed by the Iranian regime itself, killed by the same regime now firing missiles at our cities. While this image is being circulated by a UN representative, Israeli children were being killed and injured by Iranian missiles. No tweet about them, no condemnation for them, no urgency for them. Ms. Fraser, if you wish to fulfill your mandate, condemn the Iranian attack that murdered Israeli children. But we know this is the UN. Accusations first, facts later. So I ask, where is the global urgency as this radical Islamist regime spreads its terror across the world? I will be clear. We will do whatever is necessary to protect our people, to protect our borders. Thank you very much.
What about a comment on the Iranian schoolgirls who were killed in Nanny?
Well, please.
Thank you. It's Pamela Falk from U.S. News and World Report. We heard just this morning from the U.S. that there will be several more weeks of strikes. Are Iranian nuclear
All right, so I'll go
facilities
ahead and jump
within
in here.
those
He's just going to take
strikes?
questions. Just wondered what he had to say. But as the world continues to react after 2 days of this, the world does seem to be a safer place. Even with the chaos going on, it does seem to be a safer place. We got a lot to talk about more next. 205-545-9950. Ernest Financial. RetireWithErnest.com. RetireWithErnest.com. Don't you want to retire earnestly? Don't you want to retire with freedom? I bet you do. You want to be able to do all those things you plan on doing when you retire. None of it's guaranteed unless you can put a plan together and you can secure your retirement in the lead up. If you're 55 or older and you got over 50K in your retirement, make this call. Remember, this doesn't cost you anything. What Earnest Financial does is they put you in positions to where your money only grows. So by the time you get to retirement age and you're ready to start using that money, it's bigger and better than you could have imagined. And so there's no stress and penny pinching and all this kind of stuff trying to stretch it out. You have ended up you made good decisions, great decisions that benefited you and all the hard work that you've done over the years. They've got all the information. I'm not a financial expert, but these guys are. They know what they're doing, and they know how to get you exactly where you need to be to do the things you want to do. So what do? Again, if you're 55 or older, you got over 50K in your retirement, whatever kind of retirement that may be, call these guys, 833-596-7233. They've been doing this over 40 years. They've been with this show since almost the beginning. And David Ernest is a friend of mine. I'm super grateful to be partnered with them because they're the best. 833-596-7233 and online retirewithernest.com. I want to play this for you real quick. This is from this morning's PBD podcast, and I mentioned Patrick Bet David earlier. He is an Iranian who fled the country years ago, I think back in the 80s. But lived under this regime, and obviously a lot of friends and family that have lived under this regime. So he knows it well. He knows it better than most. And he goes on his show to explain who Khomeini really was, who the supreme leader of Iran really was, and how bad of an individual this guy actually is.
You guys want to know what Khomeini once said about what to do to women in prison? Have you ever heard him?
Nope.
You want to verify this, Rob? He once said female prisoners who are virgins must be raped before execution to prevent them from entering heaven. Isn't he an amazing guy to say something like that? That's the guy that died. When he died, I was in Iran, June 3rd, 89. I was there when the guy died. They didn't kill him. He died. This guy who was supposed to be a hero for them, female prisoners who are virgins must be raped before execution. If you go pull up the craziest thing he said in one of the books that he wrote, you would sit there and say, no human being, you would never write that. You would never subscribe to that. Our audience, if you're watching this, even though if you're part of the 30% that watches this, 20% that maybe you don't agree with that, deep down inside, you'll be like, I don't subscribe to that. Well, they did about women and girls. About women and girls. Virgin female prisoners should be raped before execution so they do not go to heaven. Founding leader of the Islamic regime in Iran. What do you think about this guy? Does this sound like a noble man? Does this sound like a guy you want your son to look up to? Does this sound like a man you want to follow? Does this sound like a man you want to give the book and say, hey, son, read this book. Don't read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. Mm-hmm. Don't read Thomas Sowell's books. Don't read Lincoln's books. No, read Khomeini's book. Because what he said is virgin female prisoners should be raped before execution so they don't end up in heaven. This is their values and principles.
Think about how much of a psychopath you need to be. All right.
It's just beyond sick.
Khomeini ordered the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Iranians, many of which opposed the government, some of which, as the females that he's talking about, simply broke some rules such as, going outside without their husbands or getting an education or whatever, where they would imprison them and ultimately kill them. And killing them, in his mind, was not good enough. He wanted to not only kill them, but to make sure that in his mind of how getting to heaven works, he wanted to make sure that they couldn't get there. In his version of Islam, if you are raped, you will not get to heaven. You have been defiled. You were damaged goods. And so in order to hold women who have broken the law accountable. He would not only want to order their execution, but to have them raped beforehand, have them suffer even further, so they could then, as he views it, suffer eternally. Imagine that's the individual we kill. Imagine anybody being in support of that, or anybody being upset that that individual got wiped off the face of this planet. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. Jeff in Indiana. Jeff, what's up?
Hey now.
Hey now, hey now.
They're finally going to get their, hopefully going to get their independence, I hope. But you know that Iran is just like the United States, basically. We have you got the religious fanatics that blindly follow the leader, and then you got the same people over there that's throwing their jobs off and marching through the streets and celebrating around the world. Kind of like our liberals over here are basically brain dead fanatics that's their religion, and we got the same people, which are the conservatives over here, and sometimes whenever like the last administration took over, we've seen what kind of insanity went on there and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And and then around the world, you got a bunch of reverse Rosie O'Donnells. They, instead of fleeing sane people, they fled an insane religious sect. So, you know, hopefully these people can be repatriated back into Iran and everything whenever things get straightened back out again. But I'm thinking it's going to take troops on the ground before they can do that. Either that, we're going to have to supply them with arms and try to get some factions in there to fight, and it's probably going to. If we just decapitate one leader and they still control the army enough to kill all these people and keep it down, it's not going to change anything. In fact, it may even get worse.
Yeah, well, first of all, let's hope that there's no boots on the ground for us. I mean, according to CENTCOM, right now U.S. bases are under constant fire, so that's our first priority. But you know, we got to keep it in perspective as well, as this is not necessarily an operation to liberate Iran. You know, in a sense, maybe it does. Hopefully it does for the people of Iran. But this was originally an operation to stop Iran from getting their hands on nuclear weapons that they have been building up with the help of previous U.S. presidents, have been building up over time, and would have had no problem using against us, using against our military bases, and using against our allies. And no matter how much we want to, you know, stay out of everybody else's business, at the end of the day, if one of our allies were hit with a nuclear weapon from a country like Iran, we would obviously have to get involved. So that was the priority in all of this, is to put a stop to that. Now, if the people of Iran make the right moves and can take over their government, it's as Donald Trump said. He said the hour of freedom is upon you. Take your country back. Not that, hey, we're going to come in there and take your country back. You take your country back. It's going to be on y'all. And if they continue to live under the same kind of oppression, that would suck. But if they're living, as long as they're living under that kind of oppression without nuclear weapons, we're probably looking at a very different situation. But this is all so very new, and it's all continuing to play out. We're going to see where it goes. I mean, this is something that's been playing. The CIA tracked the Ayatollah for months before this attack even happened. So this has all been building up for a very long time, and it's very well thought out by the Trump administration and the military. So they know much more about what the next steps are than we do.
Yeah, we're kind of almost we allowed this to happen through weak leadership. We had Carter that basically allowed these people to take our people hostages, and then when his administration was over, they were scared to death of Reagan, and they capitulated to Reagan and kind of stayed low for a while, but then they just started building up, and weak leadership between the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas and everybody else that's come in between those times have allowed this to happen. And now we've got a president in there that says no, no more.
That's it.
And we're having to do what we're doing because their others gave them so much money and so much leadway that they could just do what they wanted to do instead of crushing them when we could have had the chance.
Yeah, so much of what Trump, and thank you for the call, Jeff. I appreciate it. So much of what is being done is cleaning up previous presidents' messes. It really is. And now there's a lot out there that Donald Trump is doing for the benefit of the country that's not even been attempted by previous presidents, but a lot of it is cleanup. This is one of those cleanups. And sometimes cleaning up is ugly. It's like when you watch an episode of Hoarders, and those poor host of that show and the contracted company that's got to clean the place up comes in. Like, it's nasty, man, and you feel bad for them, but they got a job to do. Somebody, they weren't the one that messed that house up. They weren't the one that was doo-dooing in buckets and then pouring them out in the backyard, but they're there to clean it up. I want, real quick before I hit this break, I want you to listen to Pete Hegseth moments ago speaking at the Pentagon. They were talking about Khomeini, and he made a very solid point about what was the ultimate fate of the supreme leader in Iran.
Turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America and death from Israel. This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's a badass statement right there.
He says it turns out the regime that chanted death to America was gifted death from America. And this is not a regime change war. It's not. And that's where a lot of people are getting confused. It's not about the regime change. We just did this in Venezuela. We take the guy out. We take the bad guy out that's causing all the problems, and we say, hey, y'all figure it out. But when you figure it out, whoever you put in that place, you better let them know they can end up in this same boat if they don't want to play ball with us. Simple as that. And the rest of the world takes notice. If you're a bad guy and you're threatening America, you either negotiate or you FAFO. And whoever's next, if that person FAFOs, the next person better decide to do the opposite. Iran has fired 500 plus missiles so far, which again shows how much of a stockpile they've had. They have a tremendous amount of weapons that, again, they've been able to build up over years and years and years of U.S. weakness all over the world. And here we are, cleaning up yet another mess by our corrupt government, deep state, whatever you want to call it. And there's many people out there that are going to criticize this on multiple fronts. They're going to say, oh, you're just doing Israel's bidding, or, oh, Trump is just trying to start another war and drag us into World War III or whatever. But how many times do we got to go through this? I say to people that are worried about terrorism, not just abroad, but here at home, this is a major shot at terrorism as a whole. That's all been funded by Iran. Israel actually over the weekend, launched a wave of airstrikes across Lebanon after Hezbollah started firing rockets into Israeli territory. So they're being fought on multiple fronts. Here's what it said. Hezbollah fired a barrage of rockets and drones from southern Lebanon toward Israeli territory, triggering air raid sirens. The IDF reported that at least one rocket was intercepted while others landed in open areas. No injuries initially reported, although there have been from other missiles. Following alerts, and people in Israel, I think there have been casualties as well. Following alerts that were activated in several areas in the north of the country, the Air Force intercepted a launch that across from Lebanon. Individual launches fell according to policy. No injuries or damage was reported. Hezbollah later claimed responsibility for the attack, stating that it targeted an Israeli missile defense site near Haifa using advanced rockets and a swarm of drones. In response, Israeli military leadership warned the terror group that it would pay a heavy price for targeting Israeli civilians as IDF Northern Command mobilized forces along the Lebanon border and prepared for what the chief of staff described as several days of fighting in waves. So that's simultaneously going on. But as far as Hezbollah goes, their political chief, his name was Mohammed Riyad. He was assassinated in Beirut, which was a major blow to Iran's terror proxy network, Hezbollah, in Lebanon. It's a very complicated issue because there's so many different lengths to this when it comes to Iran, but it shows the danger that they did pose to the rest of the world and the reach that they had. They had been able to do this under the radar, not even under the radar. Everybody knew they were doing it, but nobody would seemingly do anything. And so they built up and built up and built up to a point that it was going to have to be addressed. That's what's happening here. It's an issue that needed to be taken care of, but never got addressed. Everybody in your life, you've dealt with stuff like that, where you have a problem and you put it off and you put it off and you put it off. And you don't want to face it. It's just standard procrastination. Could be something simple. Could be something as simple as cleaning out your gutters, or it could be a big situation. You put it off and you put it off and you put it off. What happens the longer you put it off when you finally do decide to face it? What are you looking at? You're looking at a bigger problem. It happens. Whether I'm talking to you about no roofing or whatever, a small problem will turn into a big problem if you don't address it. Donald Trump understands that. And this one should have been addressed long ago, but if it didn't get addressed with Donald Trump, it would turn into a big problem, and that big problem would ultimately have been a nuclear-armed Iran.